President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday wrapped up his testimony at the state capture inquiry after being grilled for 2 days. In his closing remarks, he told Acting Chief Justice Raymond Zondo that his administration is making progress in ending corruption. Ramaphosa says he remained in his position as Deputy President in the Jacob Zuma administration to bring about change from within. And now for some reaction to the testimony, we're joined by Professor Ivor Sarakinsky from the Wits School of Governance. Prof, good evening and thank you so much for your time tonight. Now that he's done with his evidence, what does the testimony then tell us about the state of the ANC and the country?
Evening, Bongiwe and viewers. In short, the President's testimony doesn't tell us a lot about what happened over the last 9 years. It may reveal more about the dynamics within the ANC in terms of the President walking a tightrope, in terms of not saying anything that could undermine future investigations, but at the same time not saying anything that would disrupt the delicate power balance that exists within the ANC at the moment between the President and his supporters and those who seem to be opposing him under the banner of radical economic transformation. So I think it was a very carefully crafted set of responses that the President delivered to questions that he could easily have predicted.
And at the back of that, one of the things that he told the Commission is that the ANC suffered from what he called the big man syndrome, saying that the former President, Jacob Zuma, was powerful and could not be challenged. Can we really say, though, that the ANC has moved on from this?
I don't think the ANC has escaped the big man syndrome, if we can use the term. It's characterized ANC politics, and I think it's embedded in ANC political culture going back many, many years from exile to the present, where you've got, in more recent times, Oliver Tambo, Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, and others, with President Ramaphosa being the leader of the ANC now. And I think those practices about leadership, the president of the party, continue. Sometimes it's benign, sometimes it's quite toxic in terms of whether the person in power abuses that authority that the party gives that person as a leader in terms of the culture and the reinforcement of position in the ANC. So it's not just about renewing the ANC in terms of cleaning up, it's about changing the political culture within the ANC at a very deep and a very profound level.
And one of the things that he said is that it's unfair to say those who were seemingly silent and not speaking out in the public were seen to be complicit and agreeing with what was going on. Had more people stood up, would we have found ourselves with this problem of state capture?
I think that was probably the most problematic part of the testimony. We praise our whistleblowers in South Africa, and we thank our whistleblowers over many, many years for bringing information into the public domain that is crucial and in the public interest. And to say that we couldn't do anything, we had to keep our heads down because the risks of us getting dismissed or fired were high is only partly true. There are a whole range of ways that the knowledge that leaders had within the ANC at the time could have been used to prevent, to derail, to limit the damage that was done. So I would argue that that kind of statement is an abrogation of responsibility, and I'm not sure that it's accurate either.
You look at the names that have been mentioned, especially when it comes to the weakening of the state security agency, but he knows how problematic some of the people who are still, even within his own cabinet, have been. Is he placing factional politics here above the needs of the country?
Well, just to go back a little in answering your question, high-ranking leaders of the State Security Agency at the time began an investigation of the Guptas and the political response was swift, and they were dismissed. So to say now that we didn't know that the Guptas were overly influential is not convincing, because there's enough evidence in terms of the political response from within certain quarters in the ANC to put an end to that investigation. So I think that is further argument to say that denying responsibility or accountability is compelling. What this does tell us is that the ANC is so deeply divided and so deeply fractured along so many lines, personality lines, interest lines, policy lines, that it's very difficult to keep the organization together. And I think that is it's resulting in the president being hamstrung. It's paralyzing him from doing anything because he's too scared to rock the boat. He doesn't want to empower his enemies to give them ammunition to fight with him at a later point in time. So he's trying to use the status quo, keep the peace in order to incrementally and slowly achieve certain objectives. And we wait to see whether he's successful in that.
And I was going to ask you then, Prof, to say that can he really ride on that card for much longer? Because whichever way he goes, he's not someone that's seen, as you say, to be taking, a tough stance. And even saying that now, he doesn't remember this, he doesn't remember that, he was there, but something was being done, and all of those things. It doesn't inspire much confidence.
Yeah, the plausible deniability is the phrase that one uses to describe that. I don't remember, I don't recall. I don't remember anything at all. It's implausible. If you're in the belly of the beast, your daily diary, your meetings, your activities will allow you to refresh your memory in terms of what was going down on a daily basis. So I think that is very problematic, and it's unconvincing.
Given what has come out from the commission, Prof, do you think that we could be able to avoid another state capture should we find ourselves here?
Only in the sense that the public is now aware of what state capture is and the damage that state capture does. And I think that this has empowered the public to be far more demanding of accountability and far more aware of the abuse of power. And that's the only thing that's going to rescue South Africa should a situation arise in the future where groups want to seize control of public resources and institutions. It's the awareness of the public. We can't rely on politicians. We can't rely on political parties. We have to empower citizens to be proactive and to defend the democracy which is ours, and it's our product as citizens of South Africa. We have to own it, and we've got to nurture it, and we've got to protect it. We've seen that parties and politicians are in it for the short term and sometimes in it for themselves.
All right, Prof, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. That's Professor Ivor Sarakinsky from the Wits School of Governance. Thank you so much for your time.